Bienvenidos a Homelands, vuestra tienda de ocio alternativo en Elche. En Homelands podréis encontrar juegos de mesa y todo tipo de coleccionables, merchandising y por supuesto juegos de cartas como Magic, One Piece, My Hero Academia, Digimon o Dragon Ball. Además de un espacio donde jugar, también disponen de torneos online a través de Discord. En la descripción de este vídeo tendréis la información y enlaces, además de un código para conseguir un 5% de descuento en todos vuestros pedidos. Y si queréis proteger vuestros coleccionables y cartas, encontraréis la mejor protección en Ultimate Guard, desde fundas tanto exteriores como interiores a deckboxes, álbumes, tapetes y también los hives, que son de diferentes tamaños donde almacenar tanto tus mazos montados como cartas sueltas. Sin duda, mi producto favorito son los boulders Return to Earth, elaborados con materiales reciclados. Ultimate Guard, patrocinador oficial de este canal.
Muy buenas, gente, estamos aquí con MAJORS, a quien vamos a estar entrevistando unas rápidas preguntas para que nos cuente un poquito más sobre cómo ha sido el desarrollo de Modern Horizons 3 y vamos a ver un poquito su perspectiva sobre el diseño de cartas. Hi Michael, how are you?
Good, thanks for having me.
Take the mic. We have some fast questions about the new set.
All right, let's
obviously.
do it. Yep.
I know this is so many years ago for you, but maybe that's a good question.
About 2 years ago, give or take.
So
Yeah.
2 years it was done. 2 years ago.
No. So yeah, we started 2.5 years ago. Honestly, it's a little fuzzy, but
Sure.
yeah, final development probably was about 1.5 years ago, give or take.
Okay.
Sure. And when you were designing the set, did you expect that the meta will shift like it did, or you expect more old archetypes to revive or
Yeah,
something?
what was the purpose regarding to modern?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can never really fully predict exactly what's going to happen, of course. Yeah. But basically, our goal was to try to both make new decks and also elevate other strategies that have existed in the past, but haven't necessarily been successful in a long time. So even though we're not necessarily seeing it at the Pro Tour right now, Elves was something that we targeted. Kind of these very nostalgic callback cards, as well as things like Recurring Nightmare, and obviously the Necrodominance is a card that's being prominent both at the highest level of competitive play and also just as a really exciting callback. So we can never fully predict what's going to happen, but we try to take a bunch of different shots and see what is exciting to players.
Okay. So, the big card, Navi.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one blue and a green card.
Yep.
And everybody's been talking about that. So, it's not out where it's too strong or whatever. What was the idea with that card? How it came to be? Did you guys expect it to be this strong? Was this we know all the stories of last minute change and this has one extra toughness, it changed the card forever. Is this that kind of story, or how? Yeah. What do you remember about it? What do you know about it? What can you tell us about it?
I mean, that's kind of a complicated situation, but it's one of those situations where we didn't quite predict how the text box would play out. It was sort of a last minute change. There were some other pressures from other folks. So yeah, unfortunately, that was one that didn't quite go through the testing process as with as much scrutiny as we would have liked. So it's obviously made a brand new deck at the Pro Tour. It's been very successful. We're talking at the beginning of day 2 at this point, so we don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but it's obviously proven itself to be very strong. Yeah. So
maybe you were expecting more like a mid-rangey deck instead of a combo deck.
Yeah, I mean, we basically didn't see the Shuko interaction being so powerful.
Yeah.
And that's here we are.
No, it happened a lot to everybody, and I understand when you are developing, it's just so many steps. The cards are not fully formed; they are always shaped. I don't think people understand how that process works.
Thousands and thousands of cards you have to think about. Yeah.
Right.
Because now we are just seeing we have a bias, a survivorship bias, right?
Right. Yeah.
But what you said, you were focusing on elves or trying to do this callback, that. Yeah, that's awesome. Then let's talk about energy. So
Sure.
energy was this mechanic that dominated standard, was really prominent, but it was kind of cool, right? So what's the idea behind bringing it back, and what are the safeguards for it to not get out of hand again? Because this is modern, it's not the standard, we understand that, but were you guys concerned that, maybe when you add an extra resource to the game, this can get out of hand? What was the process behind energy?
Yeah, totally. I mean, so like you just said, energy kind of has this pedigree of being this very unique mechanic that is kind of parasitic. So what I mean by that is it sort of, only kind of works with itself in some way. It's sort of self-perpetuating. So we basically had an opportunity. It's like, okay, if we can effectively limit the number of cards that all these things work together with, which is something that is we're not often able to do, right? It's like, going back to the Nadu conversation, it's like, oh, we have to remember that Shuko exists,
True.
right?
And
Right, which is, there's tens of thousands of Magic cards. Whereas, with energy, it's like, you kind of limit the scope, right? So it's like, okay, if we have this more finite sandbox of cards, what can we do that we can really push very specific aspects of it? So it's like, of course we've seen like Tune the Narrative and Galvanic Discharge, along with Wrath of the Skies, is like this very effective package. Yeah. So that's kind of things we can particularly prescribe to certain decks and certain strategies. And then we also have kind of the more open-ended cards like Chthonian Nightmare, which kind of works by itself, and you can kind of create its own package, or you could theoretically combine it with other energy cards. So, it basically gives us the ability to kind of sculpt very specific packages, which is kind of unique to Modern.
Yeah,
were you expecting the discharge to be displacing Lightning Bolt, like being the new Lightning Bolt?
Not quite.
The metagame, because that kind of shocked everyone. Like.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we definitely thought Galvanic Discharge was going to be strong, and like I said, we thought it would probably combine with a couple different cards, Tune the Narrative, Wrath of the Skies, potentially Unstable Amulet, things along those lines. But no, I mean, we didn't expect it to usurp Lightning Bolt, and we kind of expect that to be something that can happen in certain situations, snapshots in time, but it's probably not going to be something that happens, for the rest of Magic or anything like that.
Another card in the Boros Energy deck is Philia or Felia. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And I think I heard you talk about this card like being such your own design, maybe from a pet of you. Did I hear this, or I'm mistaken?
No, yeah. So that's an homage to my dog. I own a corgi named Ophelia. So I designed that card. It is my favorite card in the set. I'm very biased, obviously, but that's her.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
There's another card in the set, like you were saying, this card is going to be nuts in Modern. This is going to break it, and it's not doing it. Like you had some stakes on. Yeah.
Like your biggest bet.
That's a good question. I mean, I definitely thought Chthonian Nightmare would see a lot of play. It's seen a little bit online.
Yeah.
What's another card?
I think Ken Yukuhiro is playing.
But Ken doesn't count, because it's Ken.
Right. I guess I would say the, certainly coming out of previous season, Ugin's Labyrinth was kind of the card where it's like, this is obviously a big bet.
Yeah.
It's a potentially a double land, which is something that has a lot of pedigree in competitive Magic.
Sure.
Obviously, we put a lot of effort into the Eldrazi package, which has seen a lot of play on Magic Online and has seen some play at the Pro Tour, but a little bit less than it has in the last couple weeks. That's still something I expect to, over time. Of course, we're only 2 weeks since Modern Horizons has come out. I expect those cards to show up more and more, but that was certainly the one where it's like, we're definitely putting a lot of eggs in our basket here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we could like the Wind's Labyrinth. I mean, it's an amazing card, but I remember when we saw it, it was like suddenly Rosy Winter coming again. Like it's such a risk, but the card is amazing. Like the set is super cool. The limited part. So I guess just wrapping up, how is when you're doing such a high power set, right, rather than a normal set, how is it about balancing limited too? Because limited is built around these commons, these C-level cards, whatever, but they're not C-level cards here. Of course, since it's contextual, they get to be C-level for Modern Horizons, they will be A's in normal formats. But how does happen? You say, oh, this is an amazing card, but here is going to be a common, that's just as a filler. How is that new balancing act going?
You're all right.
Just stop in the car.
Yeah. So some of it is just like, power level is very relative, right? So it's like if all the cards are strong, then theoretically, none of the cards are strong and they're all the same power level effectively. So there's kind of that component where it's like, the average floor of the cards are certainly stronger in Modern Horizons 3 than we had seen in normal standard draft environment. But also just like the synergies compound the power level, right? So, if you, certainly Galvanic Discharge is just a powerful card to put in your deck, but if you have no other energy, then you can never kill a large creature with it. and we're seeing in the draft environment where it's like the synergies are king. That's certainly what people are trying to draft. If you just end up with a mid-range deck, your deck might be pretty powerful, but it's probably going to get beat up by the synergy decks. And given what Modern Horizons 3 is, which is a love letter to Magic, it's combining all these different mechanics in weird and interesting ways. We certainly wanted the synergies to be the star of the show. So I think that's what we've seen so far. So I'm very pleased with that.
Yeah. I think I can talk for everyone here because the set is so fun to draft, fun to watch. The games are so amazing. The power level is so balanced between the archetypes. So I think we can say a big congratulations on this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
It was a total hit. Yeah, I think so.
So
I think we're done. The Germans are waiting.
Sure. Thank
The
you.
Germans are waiting. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Michael.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure.
Nice to meet you.